Lisa, Ziad, welcome. Firstly, we're midway through the week at Cannes. Your reflections about the topics being discussed, what have you been learning? Ziad, to you first?
Yeah. Well, look, it's not lost on me that I am young to be here and young to be here with a microphone, and I'm very grateful for that. And last year, I believe that I was the youngest speaker at that Palais, and I had no idea what to expect. In starting my Gen Z agency when I was, a junior in high school, I didn't know that Cannes existed, right? And now, but then quickly learning that it did, and this being a real feat that I'd looked up to, being able to be here was an enormous opportunity, and I learned a lot about what I loved about it, about what I hope changes about it. But more than anything, I learned that this is an incredible place to meet people. And the best thing that came out of Cannes for me last year was meeting Licht, who has become a phenomenal advisor and friend and family to me and to my team. And I always say that the most important KPI or ROI from anything that I do is that I make a real friend while doing it. And I made two really good friends, and Lisa is one of them last year at Cannes, and it's midway through the week, and I think there's some promising ones. I think there are some promising friendships that are budding, and you never know, right? People have a great vibe, but you don't know if they're going to follow up, right? You don't know if they're actually going to keep that energy going, but Lisa did not just keep that energy going. She's leveled up and leveled up. She baked cookies for my birthday for me and all my friends. She has showed up for me in ways that are far kinder than I deserve, and I will be so lucky if I have half of that coming out of this Cannes. But it feels like things are in a positive direction, and so I'm grateful for that.
And you, Lisa, was stood out this year?
Yeah, I mean, someone put it perfectly the other day. A friend of mine asked the guy who just got a great new job, what are you looking forward to most about Cannes? And he said, serendipity.
This is serendipitous.
100%.
We did not plan to do this.
And I left the hotel this morning and I invited the group that was waiting. Is anyone in a hurry? Do you want to get in my Uber? I met Kate Ivory. She runs OMD for all of Europe. We had a great chat. We talked about my panel questions today. She got me so prepared.
That's awesome.
And it was just, I made a new friend. So I will say last year I did meet Ziad. It was incredible. I think before I left Cannes, there was a follow-up note. I'm going to be in LA. When can we meet? And we had a text exchange today where he thanked me for something. And I said, I do what I say I'm going to do. And anyway.
And she does. And she does. And that's rare.
I wish everybody did.
And it's rare and it's valued.
It is, and it's very important, and well done. I've spoken to a lot of people this week, and two issues really come to mind, the two hot topics. I both have Gen in, and that's Gen Z and Gen AI.
Yeah.
And you are the Gen Z expert. Are they so different? I mean, do you have to have a whole marketing company just for this group?
I mean, I'd like to think so, otherwise I don't know why I'm in business, right? Well, yes and no.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that Gen Z is so different from a human perspective, and I think every person wants belonging, wants connection, right? What I think is different about Gen Z is what makes us feel connected. What makes us feel entertained might be different. And I think the only thing that differentiates any generation is what geopolitical moments happened during your lifetime and how old were you when that happened, and what technologies emerged during your lifetime. And so I think that the Gen AI and Gen Z conversation is very intersected insofar as this next generation will be an AI native generation, and that will change everything about how they think and move through the world. And for us, we are a social media native generation. And so this idea of every young generation was progressive and change making and push the envelope to say we can do more and we can do better. What is distinct and unique about Gen Z is the level of agents that we have to do something about it. With one click of a button, we can trigger an international discourse and conversation, right? With one job, right? We're not just saying this is our job, it's gonna be our job for the rest of our lives. We're saying actually you should be more grateful to have me than I should be to have you, right? And we have taken back the power in a lot of these discourses to be able to action a lot of that reimagination. I think youth has always been about reimagining, about pushing the envelope, and I think that Gen Z is just in a position right now where we're well equipped to push that envelope even further and to really channel that reimagination into action, and I think that's really exciting.
Really interesting perspective there. So it's a different generation, but then every generation's been different. With this new technology, particularly with things like Gen Z, is there a temptation for CMOs particularly, but companies to chase after that new thing? We've had metaverse, NFTs, we've had Web3, we've had... what advice would you have when it comes to not having your head turned, that you lose your core audience almost?
Yeah. So look, one of the greatest challenges about being a CMO today is the market is changing every few months.
Every few days.
Every few days. So in the 60s, when Mad Men had its moment, it was a print campaign, a TV commercial. I don't even think there was outdoor then, right? But when you go back to that show, it was print TV. You did the Pampers commercial. I don't think there were Pampers then, but toilet paper, and it worked. Tide detergent. Today, there's so many facets, and I think you can't. One thing is remain incredibly consistent. You must know your audience and who you're talking to, because that will prevent you from rubbernecking.
Yeah.
The NFT thing to me was ridiculous.
Yep.
Because I just felt like all these people are getting too rich too quick. Something is not right about this. And I still don't understand why I want a digital product versus, so then every brand was like, what's your NFT strategy? What's your NFT strategy? Versus, who's your audience? Do they even care about an NFT?
And our research says no.
Yeah.
And our research says no.
And if Gen Z don't care,
Well, I mean, there is a portion of Gen Z that does care, but it's certainly not the lion's share, right?
not enough to.
Well, look, it depends. If you are in the art world, of course. I liken NFTs to the modern art world. There's money in it. There's an audience, but the average consumer will never be able to afford it and doesn't really care about it, right? I think NFTs are similar. However, NFTs became a moniker for something that is really interesting to Gen Z, which is blockchain is decentralized, attributed technologies are really interesting to Gen Z that allow for more people to get credit for their work, that allow us to be able to trace back where things are from so that folks can get their compensation that they're earned, that they're owed for what they're creating. I think those are really critical to how Gen Z is moving through the world. But the idea that we just want to live in a digital landscape without interacting with real people, the idea that we have the liquid capital to just be dumping into things with so much risk and volatility that we're not sure of, I think that was really overhyped by a lot of people who were reticent to miss the next internet bubble. They're like, oh, we missed it once, we can't miss it again. And it's like, it's not the same because you're not listening, right? But I think Lisa talks enough to Gen Zers like me and Olivia and Nate that she had and your kids, right? That you had a much stronger sense. You own 3 of them and they're wonderful, right? That she brought a much better sense of the fact that the headlines were saying Gen Z's obsessed, but the sentiment was saying maybe not, right? And that doesn't say that there isn't a role for it. It's just not necessarily the predominant conversation in the way that I think AI, AR are. Right? And I think we confused and grouped together so much, whereas there's parts of this, blockchain, AI, AR, which are absolutely the future. But I think sometimes in marketing, we have this tendency to loop everything together in a way that I actually think distracts from where innovation should and actually is headed.
There's so much I could talk to you about, but we're short on time.
Yes.
The thing I would ask, though, is with all the challenges that we're facing, and very briefly, I'd have to go over them, difficult economic times, those things, budget cuts, etc. There's a lot of negativity around marketing in some spaces.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Or is that too?
I think the negativity around marketing is the lack of understanding. So my new friend Kate that I met in the car today, we talked about when marketers would say 60% of my spend needs to be digital. And she would say, noted, let's put that to the side. Let's talk about what your goals are.
Yeah.
Because when you look at digital, TV, outdoor, experiential, maybe NFTs, sustainability, that may not make sense. So let me understand what your goals are and let me come back to you with a plan versus just a dictation.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about really understanding where do you want to be as a company and what is it going to take to get there, and really focusing on who is your consumer.
No, I think that's exactly right. I think that there's a lot of things distracting out there, but I think that marketing is done well when it's done purposefully, right? And I think that marketing gets a bad rep sometimes because sometimes it's not done purposefully. Marketing should be about understanding people, right? Marketing should be about serving people with where they're needed, right? Where they need you. And I think sometimes we get far away and distracted from that, and it becomes about pushing a product that no one wants and no one's asking for. But marketing at its best is innovating against where people are demanding and then showing up for them in ways that move them and inspire them. And so that's really what we're excited about, hopefully continuing to do with the people that we work with and with each other.
Yeah, for sure.
dearly. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thrilled to be here.
Yeah.